Hello.
Hi. Hi. Oh, Holly, we've got a classic
Here we go.
problem. It's a pandemic problem.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Hope and Anchor. So those of you who watch every week might be thinking, where's Trey Hall?
Where is Trey?
We've lost Trey. No, he is taking a well-earned holiday this week. I know, you just can't get the staff, can you? But in his place, we have me. I'm Holly. You might have seen me on Hope and Anchor before. I pop up sometimes to do In the News. And we have the wonderful Jenny, Richard, and Andy. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
And welcome to all of you who are watching online. So we are a chat show. For those of you who don't know, really we like to think of it as a kind of a virtual pub table. So cheers. This is a non-alcoholic ginger beer, if you're wondering.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It always is. But welcome to the pub table, friends. It's good to be here. We all work in the Methodist Church, but we love hanging out with people who are of different faiths, spiritual, non-religious, and agnostics and atheists too. Everybody is welcome at Hope and Anchor, not just on the screen here, but those of you watching on YouTube and Facebook too. So welcome, everybody. Do pop in the comments where you're from. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear what you've been up to. Say hello to us. It's great to see who's watching. So every week we start with a bit of a question to kick us off. And our question this week is all about creativity. So folks, where do you express your creativity? Richard, I reckon you're a bit of a flower arranger, maybe.
Flower arranger. You know
Busted.
what? I would love to, but I think my wife, that she loves doing that. So I'm not going to steal that joy from her. I wouldn't do that to her. How do I express my creativity? It's going to sound kind of silly, but I like making dumb music up. Like I write little songs and remix it a little bit and then add my own little lyrics to it. Me and my wife, we'd be running around the house singing, and that's how we express our creativity and pass time. So
that's great.
And we need to get this into Hope and Anchor one.
That's you guys would be like, no, mute. Honestly.
Do you pop in the comments where you guys express your creativity too? We'd love to hear from you about how you get creative, how you express your creativity. Jenny, Andy, what about you guys?
I find it a challenge. Hello to all those people who've been putting in the chat where you're from, Muswell Hill, Wharton, Strathclyde. It's lovely. Hello and welcome. It's great to see you. I struggle with that when I'm in a social or a meeting where they say, we're going to do an icebreaker. I just want to crawl into a hole because if it involves doing anything from drawing or I'm not great. However, I am a musician and I do play the piano and I do get lost in music. So me and you, Richard, not a Hope and Anchor band.
Let's do it.
It's going to happen. Nicaragua. We've got a visitor from Nicaragua. This is incredible. Wow. Yeah, we are. Welcome, Margaret.
Cool. Well, I can play guitar, so actually this band idea might actually
it's a sign of the Holy Spirit. This is happening.
Yeah. I'm not good.
Was it
I do try.
Hope and Anchor Band. I'm down for it. Hope and Anchor Band. Let's do it.
I know. You do not want me involved in Hope and Anchor Band. I know.
Well, we've got our first fan, Rebecca Fairhurst. She's we've got a backing singer, Amanda Bishop. This is I'm loving it.
Let's do it.
Ramona does Bible journaling, junk journaling, and free painting.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm a big journaler. I love bullet journaling. So yeah, I'm well in there with all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm more of a word person. I love poems and I love books and I love writing poems. So that's how I express my creativity is through words. What? And
I know you've done poetry.
Well, I keep it down on the down low.
Hey,
hang on a minute. But you could write the lyrics for our band.
There we go.
Oh my gosh.
There we go. This is all happening.
And Robin, you've got an incredible talent arranging music for solo organ. Recently, just doing the opening theme of Elgar's First Symphony, which is a banger. That's incredible.
Maybe we can remix that on the Hope and Anchor Band.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, now it is time for In the News. So this is our weekly quiz. I'm going to present to you 3 headlines, one of which is true, 2 of which are fake, and you can play along at home. The idea is you've got to try and work out, using your powers of intuition, which is the true one from these 3. And we're going to go for helping the animals theme this week.
I love this.
So our first headline is police called to help untangle 7 baby squirrels after tails get knotted up. Second, Wales's first drive-through veterinary practice closes after 1 day due to unexpected demand. 3, Devon man builds 8-wheeled trolley for otter amputee pet.
Oh my goodness.
So there you go. Which do you reckon?
I want them all to be true.
Well, as somebody who wears hosiery, like tights and stockings and things, I know that they all get like tangled up in the wash because I never separate them and put them in one of those bags. So my money's on 1 because I think like
The squirrel
Ground
tails.
experience.
yeah, squirrel tails getting knotted up is like, well, look, I get this every day in my hair, and that struggle is real. So my money is on the squirrels.
Yeah, we want to hear as well from you lot watching on Facebook and YouTube. Tell us which one you think is real. Do you think squirrels, like Jenny? Amanda says 3 is true. The otter.
Oh.
I love the otter
wheels.
story. I really want the otter
Everyone
story
seems
to
like
be
they're
real.
going for free. Okay.
If I
Oh,
found
Philip, yes, me and Philip, we're on the same team. Thank you.
I'm gonna go for number 1 because as you was reading it, I just had a picture of a police officer delicately untangling the tails. So I'm like, you know what? If I can picture it, it must be true. Come on, I'm going for it. Number 1.
It is
Number
so
1.
precious.
Holly, what do you reckon?
I'm going to go 3 because I can imagine myself doing that. If I found a poorly otter, I would 100% build it a trolley so it could walk.
Was it 8 trolleys altogether though? I didn't understand that.
1 trolley, 8 wheels. They've got a very elongated body, you see, that
Yeah.
needs supporting throughout.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I still want the squirrels.
I'm with you on that. I'm with number 1.
I think
What's the
most
answer,
people are
Andy?
saying number 3, but go on. What's the answer, Andy?
Yeah, the answer is number 1. It was the squirrels.
Jenny, you've got 3 in a row.
I know. Oh, prophetic.
You're lost in this job. You need to be a police detective. You can see through the lies straight to the truth. Yeah, how cool is that? The story was, it was in Illinois, and the police officer was called out because these baby squirrels, as like Jenny's stockings, they grew up and their tails got interwoven in their kind of nest, and then when they got too big, they fell out in this clump on the floor, all sort of knotted up. The mother squirrel was there watching, and this police officer came along. And what I love about this is like this police officer's can-do attitude. Like, I'm here, squirrels are in trouble, I'm going to have a go. And he was in the right place at the right time, lent a hand, untangled the squirrel's tails.
I've got to give a round of applause to that police officer.
Yeah, we love that.
Oh, we're doing
thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andy. That's wonderful. And I mean, I never thought that on today's Hope and Anchor we would be making these weird connections between squirrels' tails, Jenny's stockings. It's all it's all happening. It's all happening on Hope and Anchor. So to make another to make another connection that's a little bit weird and wonderful, we're going to move into our next segment, which is all about our wonderful guest this week, who is a wonderful poet. And earlier this season, Trey, our usual Hope and Anchor host, interviewed Harry Baker, who is the world's youngest Poetry Slam champion and is now a full-time poet. And Harry uses words to connect weird and wonderful things as well. And some of you might think poetry is boring. Obviously, I'm not one of those people. But some of you might think poetry is boring, but Harry does an amazing job of making it absolutely engaging and incredible. So to kick us off, we're going to hear a little bit of the interview that Trey did with Harry, where he shares part of his poem, which is called Paper People. So prepare yourselves for a lot of P's.
Paper me and a little paper you. And in a pop-up population, people's problems pop up too. There'd be that pompous paper parliament who remained out of touch and who ignored the people's protests about all those paper cuts. And then those peaceful paper protests would get blown to paper pieces by those confetti cannons manned by preemptive police. And yes, there'd still be paper money. So there'd still be paper greed, and those paper picky bankers pocketing more than they need, purchasing the potpourri to pepper their paper properties. Others live in poverty and aren't acknowledged properly, a proper poor economy where so many are proper poor. But while those needs get ignored, the money goes to big wars, origami armies unfold plans for paper planes, and we remain imprisoned by our own paper chains. But the greatest shame is that it always seems to stay the same. What changes is who's in power, choosing how to lay the blame. They're naming names, forgetting these are names of people. Because in the end, it all comes down to people. I like people. Because even when the situation is dire, it is only ever people who are able to inspire, and on paper, it's hard to see how we all cope. But in the bottom of Pandora's box, there's still hope. And I still hope because I believe in people. People like my grandparents, who every single day since I was born have taken time out of their morning to pray for me. That is 8,396 days straight of someone checking I'm okay, and that's amazing. People like my aunt who puts on plays with prisoners. People who are capable of genuine forgiveness. People go out of their way to make your life better and expect nothing in return. You see, people have potential to be powerful. Just because the people in power tend to pretend to be victims, to succumb to that system. And the paper population is no different. There's a little paper me and a little paper you. And we could watch paper TV and it would all be pay-per-view, and in a pop-up population, people's problems pop up too. Even if the whole world fell apart, then we'd still make it through because we're people.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? Yeah, I'm
inspired.
Yeah, it's incredible.
How does he remember?
I know, it's amazing. I've seen him live a couple of times. He performs basically at Greenbelt every year, and his memory must be amazing. But yeah, he obviously, Harry is somebody who loves words, who thinks words are really necessary and contribute something amazing. I wonder what you guys think. How important are words, and how do we use our words in helpful ways? I know there's a quote from St. Francis of Assisi who said, "Preach the gospel and, if necessary, use words." What do you think about that, I wonder?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, oh, sorry, Andy. I love that quote. I try and live by it, but I also do recognize like how certain people's words has helped to shape my life for the positive and sometimes for the negative when people use words for the negative. I think there's a scripture that says it in the Bible that life and death is in the power of the tongue. So I do think that words are incredibly important. And more to the point, if we can use words to build each other up, like how good is that? I mean, yeah, as I said, there's been certain words that people have spoken to me when I was really young that even now as an adult still carry and hold so much weight. So
yeah, I kind of struggle with words personally. I'm quite a visual communicator, so I've always had that sort of cliche of a picture speaks 1,000 words, and try and think how you can express the same thing in a pictorial way. I think that's my kind of go-to. Jenny, what do you reckon?
Echo a lot of what you said. A confession time. I hate poetry. I hate it. It doesn't do it. I'm like,
you booked her for this week.
I know. I read the first 2 lines. I'm like, oh, let's get to the point. But this time, I was like, I could listen to this. This makes sense. It's amazing.
Yeah, I love that.
Incredible.
Yeah, when you hear a poet that's just got this amazing gift of kind of bringing words to life, I think it can be so powerful, and Harry definitely does that with his poems.
Absolutely. The
interview that Harry and Trey shared together, they went on to talk a little bit about where they experienced God and where Harry experienced God, and we're going to listen into a bit of that interview now.
At university, so I'd grown up in a very healthy, encouraging youth group with lots of my friends, and when I went to university, the advice I was given was to try and find a church community that I could lock into because I was in this new place and that would be important. And what I found was that I made some incredible friends, but they didn't come from a background of faith, and church was kind of alien to them. And the churches that I tried to connect with just didn't click with me for whatever reason. And so I had this real, almost sense of guilt at the time that I wasn't you know, giving my life to the church in that context, because I was trying to be in and of my community, and that felt important. And then there was a weekend when I finally went on a sort of church youth weekend away, but I had to leave early because I had a gig on the Sunday night. And I was reflecting on it, and I felt in myself far closer to God on that Sunday night at that performance than I did on the Sunday morning in this church service that was a much more typical situation. And I was speaking to a student worker at the time, and as if it was the most obvious thing in the world, he said, oh, well, that's because you're in touch with God, the creator. And for you, it is an act of worship to be creative and to celebrate that. And suddenly all of these self-imposed feelings of guilt kind of eased up slightly. And I realized that church is absolutely a way of connecting and a way of being, but also there are ways that we live out our lives that are expressions of faith. And so for me, this idea of creativity and faith being intertwined has meant that, you know, in that paper people poem, I mentioned my grandparents praying for me, because I think whether or not you come from a background of faith, that's an incredibly powerful thing to hear, that someone is thinking about someone else in that way. And that's been inspired by their faith, and it means a lot to me because of my faith. But I would hope that people with no church background at all can still hear that and think, oh, okay, this is something that feels important and feels powerful.
Wow, that was wonderful. Just to say, you can watch the whole of that interview on the Methodist Church YouTube channel. So do head over there to watch the whole interview. There's a little banner going across now as to where you find that. So Richard, Andy, Jenny, what do you think about what Harry was sharing there? Do you identify with what he was saying about experiencing God in places other than church?
I find it really liberating, and it is good to have that permission that obviously God is bigger than a building and God can be experienced everywhere and anywhere, but it's so good to hear that from time to time and have that permission that actually when you're walking along, I live on an island, and so does Andy, and you know, the sunsets that we get on an island are just out of this world, and of course God is present in that situation. And you know, we've talked about music a lot on these programs. God is 100% present in all sorts of music, including Elgar's First Symphony, as we talked about a minute ago.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you in the comments as well, where you experience God that's not a kind of a setting where you might normally expect to. That'd be great to hear from you all.
Yeah, I really clicked with when he was talking about how the act of poetry and doing that stuff was being in touch with God the creator, because that I find that as well. I'm a painter, and I find when I do a painting, it's a real struggle, and you wrestle with it, and it obviously takes a while and you can't do anything else, so you're stuck in one place. But at the end of it, there's like I don't think I had that in me, and there's a real sense that God was involved in the process. So that's one of my kind of holy places, is just sort of sitting down, actually standing up, but with a canvas and some paints and a couple of hours and seeing what happens. That sort of process of doing it with God is just beautiful. Love it.
Lots of comments coming in about God being in nature, in art, in poetry, in the sunset, in the beach, and absolutely in really unusual places like the hospital. Thank you, Amanda, for sharing. What a powerful story.
Yeah, thank you.
I think it's
skydiving
already.
Sorry, Richard, go on.
Oh wow, that's mad. That is mad. But yeah, like I do think that sometimes we can limit God to one place. I know for me and my wife during lockdown, when we wasn't able to get into our church had been a place where we had loved experiencing God with our brothers and sisters around us, which was amazing. But during lockdown, we went around exploring new areas, different places to walk, and just to see the beauty of nature just made us stop and be like, God, you are so amazing. Like, so definitely more than one place.
Yeah, I love that. And I think something that I was reflecting on about what Harry shared was really he was experiencing God when he was being most himself. You know, he was doing poetry, what he was kind of made to do in a way. And I think in a way, the most powerful experiences of God that I've had have been times when I feel that I'm exactly where God calls me to be, being me, being the person God has made me to be. So I think that kind of links into the creativity stuff too, doesn't it? About stepping into yourself. Yeah.
And all these comments are absolutely fantastic. Creativity and spirituality are connected. God in nature again, and we also had a comment about God being God being present in everything, good and evil. And actually, that's right. You know, God has to be present in those difficult and dark times as well.
Yeah, in our highs and lows.
And things can just pop up in your life, can't they? Where you can get a real sense that God placed it there, like, you know, a cluster of 7 squirrels with their tails entangled. We get things that crop up in our lives that are just kind of random things, but
unexpected.
They're kind of places to connect with God just in the everyday.
And I think we do a lot of beating ourselves up about not being, you know, doing the things that we think we're meant to be doing. Well, in fact, actually, let's just give ourselves a break and notice God in whatever we're doing. And that's kind of what Harry was talking about as well, about that guilt thing, about feeling guilty about not being in church. Well, relax, just stop, pause, and notice God where you are doing what you're doing. Don't pile on the guilt. Yeah. Now, speaking of ways that we experience God out in our communities, we've got another wonderful guest who's going to join us now, and that is Fabio Villela. Hi, Fabio. Welcome to Hope and Anchor.
Bonjour.
Hi.
Hello.
Fabio is based in a community in the county of Durham on a state called Balimau, and Fabio is from Brazil and is the first participant in a female evangelist program, which brings evangelists from Latin America and the Caribbean to work in communities here through the Methodist Church here in Britain. So Fabio, welcome and hello. It's really good to have you with us. I wonder first, Fabio, I know lots of people find evangelism a really tricky word to deal with. It's a word that comes with a lot of baggage. It has lots of different understandings. Some people will think of evangelists as being people that stand on street corners and shout about hell. But we have an understanding of evangelism that's a bit broader than that. That's a bit more about receiving God's love and sharing it. But Fabio, I wonder, just to kick us off, if you could tell us, what does being an evangelist mean to you?
Yeah, I also had the same thinking. I used to think that evangelism should be done by a person that had to evangelize someone by sharing the gospel. But my mindset has changed a little bit, just because of my job nowadays, my appointment here. So now I see the evangelist as the one who seeks to live their lives like Jesus, just by connecting with the community, sharing the gospel through actions of love. More being like Jesus than speaking about the gospel, I think, is it?
That's wonderful. Thank you. I love that. And I think that would be a really helpful way for people to understand what we mean by evangelism. I wonder, Fabio, just tell us a little bit more about what it is that you're up to in the Balimau community. What does evangelism look like for you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to plant the gospel in a community with no church presence and with a lack of community meaning. And after a lockdown and in the midst of a pandemic, so a bit crazy. First of all, I've been trying to live a normal life in the States, connecting with people by collecting my daughter in the school every day and seeing the same people every day. Connect with children in the school by being a volunteer there, and connect with people in the community center by being a volunteer there. Going shopping in the same shopping every day. So in these ways, I can just build friendship and relationship with people in the community, and they will know that there is a Brazilian guy living here in the States, and we can build friendship through it.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Fabio. So for you, it's all about kind of friendship, just being alongside people in community. Thank you. I love that. I wonder, Fabio, before you disappear, what top tip you would give people who are looking to do something similar in their communities, wondering how they can share the gospel with their friends and families?
and talk about everything that God has been doing in your life. I think it's the most important, even though people find you weird. In Brazil, we used to phrase something like everyone has a little bit of doctor and weirdness. So the true is no one is 100% normal. Even me,
That's a
you,
relief.
everyone has a little bit of weirdness. So people may judge you as a weird Christian, but someone may look to you and think, I'm needing exactly a bit of your witness to be happier and fulfilled. So we just need to incarnate our witness and let God use it to change some people's lives.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Fabio. I think, you know, what you're saying there, kind of embrace your weirdness and just live it. It's kind of what we were saying before as well about just be yourself, isn't it? And let God use you as fully yourself in whatever ways that God can. Yeah. Thank you, Fabio.
Absolutely. Amazing. Oh, we've had such an incredible time together, haven't we? It's been an incredible roller coaster of a session. We've had such a great interview about the power of words and having responsibility with what we say. It's just been amazing. Yeah, and everything that Fabio had to bring with us. The power of words, we've got a real responsibility with what we say. God is not limited to a building or a place. And when you're in touch with God, you're in touch with the Creator, and God is categorically everywhere. And thankfully, whatever creativity you have, it is an expression of worship to God, and faith and creativity are intertwined. It never looks the same way with two people, and that's exactly what Fabio was saying, that we're all individual, we're all unique, and no one is normal. Thank God nobody is normal, and we use it to witness. Because being authentic is who you are, and God created you as you are to be that authentic person, and God can work in the smallest aspects of our life, whether it being in the supermarket like Fabio, but you do it intentionally and as Christ-like as possible. Friendship and just being alongside people is a real key to being that witness and sharing your faith. If you've been enjoying our little interviews and you know of a project somewhere where you are, do let us know. We'd love to hear about that and get to know what's going on in your neck of the woods. Email us at hopeandanchor@methodistchurch.org.uk. The email address is down below. But just get in touch generally and let us know how we can pray for you and what we can do with you. Obviously, Fabio's interview is available in full online at the Methodist Church's YouTube channel. Do check it out.
That's Harry's interview, but yes, that is available.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, everybody's interview. Who am I kidding?
all there for you to watch. But yeah, thank you. Richard, I think you're going to lead us in some prayer, are you?
I am. How amazing has it been today to hear those stories? Loved what Fabio had to say and felt so challenged, actually, when you're speaking about sharing what God is doing in your life, regardless of whether it comes across weird or not. Absolutely loved it. Amazing. So we are going to go into our next section, and every week we love to close off by praying. Maybe you are watching and you're like, yeah, I love praying. Maybe you're like, it's a little bit weird for me. Listen, all are welcome to join in and pray. And for those of you that are watching, why don't you pop into the chat some of the things that you would like us to pray for, or the things that you're hoping for. How about us, guys? Like, what's some of the things that we want to remember this week for prayer?
Absolutely. Number one, COP26, climate change. It's been a constant theme of our shows, and you know, the concept of sea level rises. I'm all right where I live, but I can think of many houses and communities all around the island of Jersey which will be gone. So yeah, COP26 for sure.
Yeah,
I'd like to pray for Regenerate, our Methodist Church's kind of youth gathering taking place in the weekend to come. That will be a time of blessing, but also that people will be safe with the virus. But that will be a real time of growth and fun and enjoyment, and that these kids and young people from across the country will realise they're part of something bigger.
Yeah, and just to slide a cheeky plug into the prayer section, Harry Baker is going to be live at Regenerate. So, so if anyone's there, make sure you go and check out Harry Baker. For me, I would like to pray for people who really don't feel like they can be themselves, who are really struggling with whatever it is that they're struggling with, that, you know, whether it's bullying or whether it's anxiety or anything like that makes them feel like they just can't be fully themselves, they can't embrace their weirdness and their wonderfulness, or their creativity. So I'd like to pray for those people.
Yeah, let's do that. So why don't you join us together in prayer, which comes to us from the 12-step addiction recovery community. You are invited to pray in the name of God. However, we understand that for some people watching, maybe you're not at that point where you would say, I believe that there's a God to pray to. So you can just simply tag it to whom it may concern. So I'm just going to rejoin in. God, give us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you so much, everyone who has joined us, and thank you for those of you around the table here on the screen. It's been another wonderful time of Hope and Anchor, and hopefully we'll see you all next week when we are joined by our practitioner, our pioneer guest Mel Brown, and by our special guest Tyler Sitt, who is an author of a book called The Gospel for Changemakers. We'd love to see you next Tuesday at lunchtime at Hope and Anchor. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.